and I'm doing something today that I've been wanting to do for a long time, probably since August when I first started selling the most amazing food ever, which is Irish moss. Now this is not a food you can just like snack on. We need to do a little preparation with it. And people are so lost on how to prepare it. I send it out with directions. I have directions on my website. I'm gonna show you how you prepare your Irish moss. Now, why do you even care? Why do you want to eat this? It's so good for you. Well, we can work our way down. It's so healing for the thyroid. It's one of the best plant-based foods for mimicking, resolving, healing, rebalancing thyroid hormones, T3, T4. So it can be so good to regulate. The great thing about foods is they regulate. They don't upregulate or downregulate, they do what your body needs them to do. So good for healing thyroid. It's fantastic. Relating to the thyroid is radiation. It helps you to detoxify from radiation, whether it's radiation from a little sunshine, from flying in airplanes, from using cell phones, from being near Wi-Fi, from hanging out in a world where there's nuclear reactors that go off. We need to be detoxifying from radiation all the time. Also very good for post-cancer treatment, FYI. So secondly, it will also help to heal the digestive lining really well. Maybe this is thirdly. So it's got this, when you cook it, it's got this really slimy, mucilaginous-y, what we call snotty property to it that actually helps heal and restore the tissues of the digestive tract. So it's really great for anyone suffering from inflammatory bowel disease like Crohn's, colitis, any kind of ulcerations. Also anyone who's had chemotherapy, radiation that can destroy the intestinal integrity of the gut. So it will help to replenish and restore. So good. So now that you know why, I'm going to show you the how. So but what we've done is I took a cup of this, 1 cupful, and I soaked it in water. And what that does is it helps all the salt and sand drop down to the bottom. So the next thing I'm going to do is just take it in a sieve, and if you're washing anything that's got sand and salt, you probably want to lift it out of the water. So the sand, salt, you know, this could be like for washing your greens even, will stay in the water. Then we pour out the old water. We give our Irish moss a little rinse. You might want to, if it's really sandy, salty, you might want to rinse out your pot as well. So we've got our Irish moss in the pot, we filled it with water, and we're now going to simmer it. Keep in mind this is going to expand quite a bit when we cook it. That 1 cup is going to grow to about 4 cups maybe, so keep that in mind. Also, you can prepare this raw, and if you want to do it raw, go for it. It can be a bit harder on your blender and also takes a lot more time. It's about 3 days, and what you would do to do it raw is you would soak it, rinse it, soak it, rinse it, soak it, rinse it, soak it, rinse it. You keep soaking it until it seems soft enough that it will be able to be blended. So I'm going to now take this, which we've been soaking for about 10 minutes, and put on the stove to simmer. On the stove, we're going to put it to a medium heat, cover it, and just let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. How do you know it's ready? Because you can smell it. This stuff works so well in your food. What it does in your food is it helps make things like smoothies, soups, dips, sauces, even pies and stuff. It helps thicken it. So replacing cornstarch in a lot of things, replacing any thickening agents, that's what the Irish moss will do. In a lot of foods like canned coconut milk, for example, you'll see an ingredient called carrageenan, which is a derivative of Irish moss. Not the same thing. It's like the pharmaceutical version. So they've taken the concentration of the active component and isolated it, and that can actually be really harmful for the digestion. The whole food, the whole Irish moss on its own is actually really healing. One of the top 10, I would say, healing foods for the digestive tract. And that goes for any kind, if you've got allergies, inflammation, anything, you need to heal up the gut. So we're just going to simmer this until it's soft, and then I'll show you the next step. Our Irish moss has simmered, and so it's soft. It boiled over a little bit. You want to keep it on low and keep your eye on it. It's expanded a lot, and there's now 2 ways that you can store it. So we simmered it for about 15 minutes, and you can now strain out the water and store your Irish moss just like this in a glass container in the fridge. Now, what would have happened if I had just left this on the stove in the hot water is it would have eventually broken down completely and created a complete gel, which is also totally fine and great. What I like to do, and this is a way you can store it I'd like to say 2 to 3 weeks. I actually believe it is indefinitely, but you can take this. So we've got all this liquid that actually has that gelling component in it. Whereas if someone were really suffering with digestive problems, you could simmer a tea with that. Drinking that on its own would not taste very good. It would be amazingly healing. But what I'm gonna do is put this into my blender, and you can do this in a food processor too. You don't need a really high-powered blender. And put in a little bit of this water. And you can see, I don't know if you can see this, how thick it is as it's pouring out. This is really thick water. So I put just enough in to cover the Irish moss, and I'm now going to blend this together, and that will make the Irish moss gel, which makes it way easier to use on a daily basis. So let's blend this. So now once this is all completely blended together, you can just pour it into a jar and let it cool a bit on the counter, then seal it up and store it in your fridge. You can see as I'm pouring this how thick it is. And as it cools in the fridge, it will continue to thicken up, and it'll be so easy. Just scoop out a tablespoon and you're good to go. And that is our Irish moss gel that I'm gonna be using for the next couple weeks. I go through this pretty quickly, but it's amazing. I would love it if you would post a comment below or on my blog. Let me know what you do with your Irish moss, if you prepare it differently. I want your tips, and we're gonna have a contest really soon all about this. Check my blog for the details. Thank you for watching. Bye!